So welcome and good morning to the Universalist, Unitarian, there's a note here that says, slow down. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. Unitarian, because some of our ancestors thought there was one God, not three as the Trinitarians believed. Universalist, because others of our ancestors believed in universal salvation, that a good God would not condemn any of his children to eternal damnation. These were heretical opinions. And so we Unitarians and Universalists got comfortable with heresy. We've learned to live with it and even value it. So you're welcome here. Whatever your theological position, whether, to quote a song, you're a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist or a Baptist or a Jew, you're welcome here. Wherever you fall on the spectra of sexual orientation or gender identity, you're welcome here. Perhaps you've come to learn. Perhaps you've come to be inspired. Perhaps you're just curious. You're welcome. We try to be a diverse, evolving spiritual community that acts for a better world. That's our mission. We are Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan, and we strive to be a vibrant and inclusive congregation known as a safe haven and a force for social justice. So again, welcome.
Thank you, Larry Weaver, computer extraordinaire. My name is Pastor Isabel Call. It's my honor and joy to serve as the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. In a moment, we will light our chalice, which is a key ritual for Unitarian Universalist communities. We appreciate the way that the flame symbolizes the spark of inspiration, the burn of commitment, the light of truth, and the warmth of community. And we honor the element of fire, which is fundamental to our lives. After the service today, we will have a fire out back. Pat Embers, what a perfect name. Pat will be building and tending the fire, but would anyone else like to help out as a fire tender? Dick, we've got Dick. So Dick will help you tend the fire, Pat, and others, of course, are welcome out back. In addition to our chalice flame, water is an important symbol, especially today. So you see there is a bowl of water next to our chalice, which we will use later in the service. Every Sunday before our chalice lighting, we take time to remember the forgotten or erased history of our land and look to Indigenous leadership to remind us of our true purpose. So today I will share the words of Takaya Blaney, who is a member of the Sliaman First Nation, which is in the Pacific Northwest. She originally published it in 2015 at the age of 14 or 15 for World Water Day, and has since shared it with the interfaith community. So this is from A Letter to Myself, 7 Generations into Our Future, in which she envisions a beautiful future for humanity. Thank you. I channel this thanks from the deepest trench of gratitude I can muster, for we have done it. The earth revolutions, the movements against war, for education, to prioritize the might of the pen, the endless persistence for equality on the many diverse levels of injustice, the movements to demolish the barrier of colonialism on culture, the Occupy, the Idle No Mores, and I imagine she would add Standing Rock. We have done it. We have won it. We have realized the strength of our global community, bound by the pure passion to create equality and end injustice, to heal. And heal we did. Thank you. Thank you for not finishing far from the finish line due to frustration, hopelessness, and that sinking, depressing feeling that catastrophe was inevitable. For in the end, we gathered in prayer around one fire. We amplified our common message and outcome through a global microphone made of the millions that voiced the same truth. In the end, our need for change unified and organized us all together in a global community. In the end, it did not matter who you were, your race, religion, or wealth, for we all drank the same water that comes from one worldwide well that, in the end, was recognized as sacred.
Our service today has two components. We're welcoming two very small children into our fellowship, and we are thinking about a word, gratitude. So instead of reading, I'll sing a chalice lighting song, a song that a curious child might sing. I wonder how the earth was formed and why it's round. I wonder just how deep it goes beneath the ground. I wonder how the rocks were made and lacy weeds. I wonder, excuse me, I wonder just how life begins in tiny seeds. I wonder how our brains can think so many things to help us find the answers to our wonderings. So now is the time for all ages, and those of you who are young in body or young in spirit are welcome to come up here. Have a story. It's a true story. Our story, starts out about a young boy 70 years ago. He lived with his mother and his little brother and his father in an apartment on the second floor of a house outside Chicago. His family shared a bathroom with a young couple across the hall. His father was writing an important paper, so the boy and his brother had to play quietly. He was a good reader, so his parents bought an encyclopedia and a book about space travel. He read a lot, and then he read some more. He learned a lot, and at school, the other kids called him Professor, but in a nice way. Sometimes when the teacher asked a question, thank you, he knew the answer because he had read about the topic. Sometimes he did not know the answer, but would go home and read about it and learn the answer. And all this was good. This is a good thing to do. But there was a dark side. He now had a reputation that he felt he had to maintain. He was the kid who knows stuff. And in order to keep that reputation, he avoided stuff that he didn't know about. So he failed to learn a lot of useful stuff. So he kept his reputation, but inside he worried. I'm really not as smart as they think I am. Now let's pause for just a moment. Did the teacher and the kids, his friends, did they really think that he knew everything? Of course not. But he thought that his reputation depended on being somebody who did know everything, at least everything that the teacher would ask or his friends would ask. And when you're a kid, you sometimes don't know what's a reasonable idea and what isn't. You may yourself carry some idea to an extreme and not realize that you've gotten a bit crazy. Okay, back to the story. The young boy grew up. Gradually, he learned that sometimes when he did not know something, he did not have to read until he found the answer. Sometimes he could figure stuff out. He went to college and became a scientist. Now, other scientists came and asked him questions. Sometimes he knew the answer. Sometimes he could figure out the answer. He could almost always ask useful questions. Those questions led the other scientists to figure out the answer to their own problems. But inside, he was still a young boy who knew he was a fake, an imposter. He really did not know everything. Over the years, though, something happened. He learned to admit to himself that he did not know something. Often that led him to figure stuff out. Then another important thing. Friends he respected complimented him to their friends. His scientist friends asked him harder questions. And sometimes he said, I wonder, and then helped them figure out the answer. Gradually, he began to think about himself the way his friends thought about him. I don't know everything, but I'm useful in helping others and myself figure stuff out. I'm not a fake. I'm okay. And now here is the lesson. First, learn to say, I don't know. That way you guard against the craziness of thinking that you must know everything. Second, pay attention to stuff in the world that interests you, whether you know about it or not, and see what you can find out. Sometimes by reading, sometimes by asking your parents or teachers, sometimes by thinking and experimenting. And finally, don't do all this thinking and experimenting and reading. Don't do it all alone. The boy finally got a clearer picture of himself from the way others treated him. So now it's time for the kids to go to the class and we'll sing them out. Go enjoy our hopes, go to and wisdom, shine your light, all you do. All you do. Our hymn is For the Beauty of the Earth. And as we sing it, notice the things that the writer is grateful for. But also notice the connections to the song that we use to light the chalice. And I especially like the line, I think it's in the second verse, the mystic harmony linking sense to sound and sight. I mean, how is it? I look around, even without my glasses, I see there's Dick Beeman. Those photons landing on my eyeball have turned into Dick Beeman. So let's stand as you're able and sing For the Beauty of the Earth, all four verses. For the beauty of the earth, for the beauty of the skies, on gratitude. It'll have a number of parts because I'm grateful for a variety of things. But it starts with a cardinal that flew across the road as I drove back from Wichita many years ago. It was a small road. The cardinal was bright red cardinal. A spontaneous "thank God" burst from my lips. It was a wonderful experience. I was grateful. But to whom or what was I grateful? So it led me to ask, what in the world a mostly atheist like me could possibly mean by the phrase? My rather flip first response was, well, if I'm going to say "God damn it" when I smashed my thumb with a hammer, then it's okay to say "thank God" when I'm joyful. Okay, from that point of view, this is just a phrase that I can say. But the feeling I had in seeing that bright red cardinal, the feeling I had was joy. I was glad, so very glad, that I had seen that cardinal fly across the road. I was grateful that the cardinal had provoked that gladness, that joy. So experiences in nature are sources of gratitude. And I encourage each of you to think of times you have felt grateful in the sense I've just used the word, in nature. And while you're thinking about those possible experiences, listen with half an ear to another example. This time, I was walking with my 10 or 12-year-old son in the woods behind the zoo. It was winter. Wildcat Creek had frozen over. So, of course, he went walking out onto the ice. I did too. But then he called me over. There he stood by a patch of clear ice. You know how water, when it freezes, lots of times is white because it's got lots of little air bubbles in it, but sometimes it's clear. And underneath that clear patch of ice, the water was flowing downstream. The fish was swimming upstream. And so the fish was stationary with respect to that the clear patch of ice. So there I was, kneeling face to face with an alligator gar, something that looked like a survivor of the dinosaur's extinction. This time the joy was a quiet joy, and there was a big difference. This time I was sharing the experience with my son. There's another source of gratitude. Shared experience, community. When we sang together, I mean, I'm grateful for music per se, but I'm especially grateful to sing together with other people. More generally, to share experiences like I'm sharing experiences with you right now. I'm grateful for this opportunity, this experience, this sharing. Changing gears, I'm grateful to science. A few weeks ago, I was sitting next to Dan Swinson, and we were watching Renee play an offertory piece. Her hands were racing along the keys, but with perfect control. Dance is maybe a better word. I leaned over to Dan and said, "We're watching a miracle." The myriad of nerve fibers, the collection of muscles, large and small, in arms and fingers, all the while lungs and heart are functioning. And the brain, our human body is a mass of miracles. I've read a poster for organic chemistry. I never had the guts to take a class in organic chemistry. But this poster outlined the Krebs cycle. This is the sequence of nearly 40 steps, 40 chemical reactions that turn oxygen and food into energy stored in muscles or in cells called mitochondria, organs inside cells called mitochondria that energy is then available when we need to pick something up. The mystic harmony linking sense to sound and sight is a marvelous output of natural law, of millions, billions actually, years of evolution. In a moment, we'll sing a song with the line, "Why need to look for miracles outside of nature's law? Humanity we wonder at with every breath we draw." Humans seek explanations, and for most of our history, the best guess at an explanation of the world was something that involved gods and spirits and the trees and such. Today, we understand trees and flowers and clouds and sky as examples, consequences of natural laws. Now, you're still free to look at the world in terms of gods and spirits, but you don't have to. That's what science has done for us. It's made it possible not to believe in the gods and spirits. Changing gears again. In the story, I revealed, because the boy was me, I revealed that I had imposter syndrome for a long time. It took a long time for me to notice, to really keep in mind the fact that I was a competent physicist. I am grateful to the really good physicists who asked me serious questions, thinking, sometimes correctly, that I would be useful. They described me to others as more than competent. A barista once told me that the word on the street is that you're a genius. I'm not a genius. I've been lucky to work with a genius or two, and I am not by any stretch of the imagination in that class. But I'm okay. I'm competent. I told the barista that and added that I'd rather be known as a kind man than as a genius, erroneously known as a genius. Changing again. People I'm grateful to. My wife most of all. When I kiss her, I'm even readier to take out the compost, you know. I'm thankful for whatever hormones that govern making me happy when I kiss her. I'm grateful to people in this fellowship. I'm going to name a few, but I could keep going all day practically. Kathy Swinson and Kathy Hedge. In August, I wanted to work on the campaigns to avoid having the constitutional amendments passed, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't feel able to go walking door to door. So what was I going to do? Well, give money, but you want to do more. And Kathy organized a mailing campaign about those constitutional amendments, and I could write postcards. And so I did it. And that helped me feel part of the victory celebration when the no vote won. So I'm grateful for that. Another case where my gratitude is directed at particular people. When you're thinking about the world, there are problems in the world. Problems from the Ukraine war to local school boards. Thinking about this stuff, worrying about it, feeling anxious, that makes my life harder. But doesn't a good person have to worry about all this? Our minister, Isabel, told me, and all of us in her message last week, that no, a good person stays aware of problems, but can still choose to not be paralyzed by grief. The week before that, the UU minister that we had then was equally explicit. It's crazy to think that I can change the course of the war in Ukraine. So it's okay not to feel crippling grief about it. This is that poem, poster, let me know the things that I can't change, things that I can change, and give me strength to change those things that I can. But there's a lot that I can't change. It's a height of egocentrism to think that I can. So it's okay not to feel crippling grief about it. Choosing to be happy is not choosing to ignore the problem. It's focusing on your own feelings about the problem. So I'm grateful to these two UU ministers who've helped me find clarity in my feelings. And this brings me to the last case of gratitude that I'll talk about. I'm grateful to our religious heritage that has so many strands. In my particular case, I was raised a Methodist, but had, like some of you, by the way, but had friends who were Baptists and Presbyterians. We Methodists focused on what we did. Baptists focused on what we believed. I'm glad that we focused on what we did. That made me appreciate Pat Embers and Diane Barker and John Exdell and others of you pushing me to think seriously about economic justice, about reparations for Jim Crow, about what we do with regard to the expulsion, oppression of the indigenous people. These folks push me toward actions that are ever closer to what my Methodist upbringing taught me that Jesus called people to do. And we'll have a short reading about that when we prepare to dedicate the infants or the small children. So these are some of the things that I think about when I think of the word gratitude, when I notice that I am grateful for my hand. I'm grateful for Dick Beeman. I'm grateful for living in the world. Pastor Isabel, it's time for our offering.
And we are grateful to you, Larry. I'm gonna do some flame tending here. Noticing that our chalice is smoking, so I'm gonna pass the flame.
Too, even if I forget them.
Here at UUFM, the offering we receive on Sunday morning goes to a special organization each month. This month, our Helping Hands recipient is the Manhattan Emergency Shelter. You can donate online by going to uufm.net, then clicking the donate link and choosing the particular fund you want to contribute to. If you're here in person, you can put your offering in the basket at the back. We also use this time to share our joys and sorrows. If you're here on Ziendale Road, you can write on the slips of paper. We have green for joy, and there's cream for sorrow. and concern. The cream is for sorrows and concerns you would like us to shoulder with you. And if you're joining us on Zoom, please type your joy or sorrow in the chat. And we will read all of these aloud in a few moments. So while you share your joys, your sorrows, your generosity, Renee will play The Rainbow Connection by Jim Henson. But to lead us into this time of sharing, I want to share the words of James Baldwin from his book, The Fire Next Time, which I read this month with the racial justice team. It is rare indeed that people give. Most people guard and keep. They suppose that it is they themselves and what they identify with themselves that they are guarding or keeping. Whereas what they are actually guarding and keeping is their system of reality and what they assume themselves to be. One can give nothing whatever without giving oneself. That is to say, risking oneself. If one cannot risk oneself, then one is simply incapable of giving. So here in this community, we dig deep into our gratitude for each other, for everything which is larger, and we let go of these assumptions that we know everything, that we're in control, and we touch into this deeper generosity, this willingness to risk ourselves, to share our stories and our lives with each other and with the world. Thank you, Renee. We've come to the time in our service when we share our burdens and amplify our celebrations. Let us call up a spirit of generosity, vulnerability, courage, and compassion as we listen to what has been shared. We have a lot of joy here in the sanctuary. There's some, I don't know if this will be visible to you all, there's some joy of Christmas trees. We have a joy. I believe this must be from Rudy and Mac. Thankful for the opportunity to spend time with family. Thankful for the congregation community today in sharing the joy of our child's dedication. And from Susan A., grateful to have shared a reunion with more than 30 high school classmates last weekend and to spend time with 2 of the nuns who helped shape my education and personal growth. Wonderful marks of rites of passage, marks of remembering. So Kathy, what joys have come in Zoom land? Oh, we can't hear you yet.
I'm sorry. Yeah, our first joy.
Oh, we still can't hear you. There's one more gate to open, but
I'm unmuted, and maybe there's another gate.
I'll let you know when I get the cue.
That's it.
Yeah, I think people on Zoom can hear Kathy, but we can't hear you here in the room. Okay, give it a try now, Kathy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The first of the joys is from Annelle Forster. She's grateful for knowing Larry, a wonderful member of our congregation. Just thank you, Larry. And Carol Seven says her joy is celebrating a first birthday and first parent anniversary with Eshin and Jarrett this week. And I hope Etienne, maybe I said that incorrectly, but Etienne and Jarrett this week. And that's from Carol. And Lauren and Lynn, a joy yesterday for me was a trip to the Flint Hills bookstore in Council Grove with my sister and brother. Lots of wonderful books and people there. That would be family. And Kathy Hedge, a joy that my sister Francie is feeling true happiness again after 15 years of losses that would cripple Hercules. Wow. So those are all I think I found a lot of joys here, and I think that's
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Were there any sorrows?
Yes. Yeah. Of course, many of us know this, and some may not yet, but Jane Pelletier shares that a deep sorrow, a deep sadness because of the killings of LGBTQ people in Colorado Springs last night. And that's a real sorrow for all of us and for her.
Wow.
Yeah, and yes, that's a very enough sorrow for forever. So that's it on that. Yeah.
Wow. I hadn't heard yet of that. So holding that news with others who hadn't heard it yet and holding our hearts as we learn more. So we will share a moment of silence to honor the joys and sorrows that have been shared and those that remain quietly within our hearts. Let's enter that time of silence now. May we know we are safe. May we know we are loved. And may this deep knowing ripple out into safety and love for all. So we have another hymn, and Larry's going to introduce it for us.
This is one that I alluded to in my reflection. Oh, what a piece of work we are. It's a song about gratitude for natural science, for the natural laws that lead us to see miracles, like the mystic harmony linking sense to sound and sight. It's number 313, Oh, what a piece of work we are. If you, yep. Oh, what a piece of work we are, how marvelously wrought, the quick contrivance of a hand, the wonder of our thought, the wonder of our thought. Why need to look for miracle outside of nature's law? Humanity we wonder at with every breath we draw, with every breath we draw. But give us room to move and grow, but give our spirits play, and we will make a world of light out of the common clay, out of the common clay. That is really our aim, what we strive for is in the fellowship, making the world a better place, a world of light out of natural hands of clay. One of the bits of gratitude that I mentioned was gratitude for some of our theological heritage, and that includes, importantly, our Christian heritage. And so as a lead in to the dedication of children, I'm going to read a song that is aimed at children. But in this situation, I think it's safe to say that it is aimed at all of us. So here it goes. It's called When Jesus Walked Upon the Earth. When Jesus walked upon the earth, he didn't talk with kings. Well, I guess maybe Pilate was probably a king, but he didn't have much to say with Pilate either. So when Jesus walked upon the earth, he didn't talk with kings. He talked with simple people of doing friendly things. He didn't praise the conquerors and all their hero host. He said the very greatest were those who loved the most. He didn't speak of mighty deeds and victories. He spoke of feeding hungry people and cheering lonely folk. I'm glad his words were simple words, just meant for me and you. The things he asked were simple things that even I can do. Now we begin the service of dedication.
So I will begin with a few words, and then we will invite Larry and Sandy to join us and the families. Children come to us out of mystery. While we might influence them by our example and teaching, their lives continue to be mysterious, even as they unfold. From time immemorial, Parents have brought their children before their religious communities to be rejoiced over. And by doing so, they affirm that their children's lives are sacred. So this morning, we celebrate the uniquely Unitarian Universalist expression of this ritual. While we are a people of the heart, we are also a people of the mind, and one of the main ways we communicate our values, hopes, and love is through words. So the families whose children we are dedicating today were offered the opportunity to write letters to their children with their hopes for the future and their reflections on this moment in history. One copy of these letters is sealed and will be given to the child when the parents think they need the message. And the other copy will remain open for the parents to read when they need a reminder of where they've been and what they envision for their child. So we'll be sharing these letters, giving these letters back to the families today as part of the ritual. I'm going to read from one of these letters. One of the parents wrote these words of guidance that I believe apply to us all of all ages. You are important, and what you think and say matters. Try not to be afraid of making mistakes. I don't think you'll ever regret helping people in your community when they're moving or needing a meal or needing a cup of sugar. Reach out for help and don't feel bad accepting help when it's offered. You never have to justify your boundaries to anyone else. They continue, the world is often a scary place. It's easy to be overwhelmed by all the cruelty and injustice, but there is power in knowing that those forces don't get to dictate our actions. Sometimes just being who you are is the most radical resistance of all. I needed to hear those words, and I trust that the child for whom they were written will be nourished by them when the time comes. So now, I invite the families forward. Sandy, come on up. So you all will be sharing that mic, and why don't we all come and stand here? Thank you. Are you all here?
While parents have the primary responsibility in raising their children, they bring them to us today, acknowledging the importance of this community in their lives. As members of this church, we all share the privileged task of nurturing these children, guiding them, teaching them, respecting them, and loving them as they grow.
For our child dedication ceremony.
Oh, hold on a sec, let me make sure that's on.
Need microphones. For our child dedication ceremony, we use some special symbols. First, the rose. Our kids will remember all these. As religious liberals, we believe in the potential inherent in every human being for knowledge, faith, virtue, and love. We use a budding rose as a symbol of these possibilities, now hidden within each child, to be unfolded one by one as they grow. We've removed the thorns from these roses, but we must remember that life does have its thorns. While we might wish to remove them for our children or for ourselves, we aren't always able to. The rose reminds us that life is beautiful, but when we encounter the thorns, as inevitably we will, This community is here to be a help and a comfort.
Our second symbol is water. Clear water is an age-old symbol of purity and blessing, used here to represent the love and investment that will help these children to thrive, just as the rains nourish the flowers. Water, the source of all life, connects us to all generations, past and present, to all life, and to the flow of the individual life we are each given.
A name, too. A name, too, is a symbol of our uniqueness, of the particular and special personality we each carry. Our names remind us that we belong to a family, but we each have our own individual way of being in the world. So with these symbols, we honor the presence of each of these children in our community and commit ourselves as a community to them.
If you, who are the parents, guardians, grandparents, godparents, or other special adults in the lives of these children, if you pledge them your loyalty and love as you nourish them to adulthood, please respond now by saying, "We do."
We do.
We do.
Will the members of our congregation of all ages now please rise? As you are willing and able. Do I read all this?
Mm-hmm.
For years to come, these young lives will be a part of our community of caring, concern, responsibility, and affection. Will you welcome them into our congregation and pledge that by your example and your participation here, you will help create a community that will nurture and encourage them as they learn and grow? Please respond by saying, "We will."
We will.
You can sit down now. Thank you.
All right, not you all. So Sandy is going to help me here. Let's see. I will take a rose. Yeah, will you bring it? Yeah. So, will you name this child? Ellie. You are Ellie, and there is no one like you. We rejoice that you are here. We celebrate your uniqueness, and we give thanks for your ability to grow and love. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life. All right. Juniper. I think this is my part to say, will you name this child? Juniper. You are Juniper, and there is no other exactly like you. We rejoice that you are here. We celebrate your uniqueness, and we give thanks for your ability to grow and love. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life. So everyone, please join us now in the congregational response. The question is, who are our children to us? By them we are reminded of life's joys and wisdoms. They are the heirs of the work that we have done and are doing. Through them we'll pass the torch of our tradition. They are the yet unwritten chapter of our shared story. They are the embodiment of our hope.
This being the case, what do we promise to them and to their parents?
We pledge them our love and support, our open-mindedness, our open-heartedness. We give them a place. Everyone, we give them a place where their beliefs, their doubts, their questions, and their feelings are received with gentleness and respect. We promise to be a community that responds meaningfully to their needs and their vision, knowing that the changes they bring will make us more whole. We pledge them challenge, skepticism of the too easy answer, and a willingness to live by the lessons we teach them. We give them roots, a place they can call home, and we honor their wings, celebrating their journey ahead. Thank you, Ellie and Juniper and families, for the ritual, for all of your feelings, and you're welcome to sit down now.
Thank you. Children come. The children have
Parents. We have a video here that reminds us of the continuity of our community and our heritage.
So please rise in body or spirit. This is a hymn that'll be familiar to some of you.
Oh, and if you know it, you can sing along with the video. It's number 1051.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreams. We are the breath of our ancestors.
So we extinguish our chalice with the words of Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And you may give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. He goes on, but we stop here, extinguishing our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, the spark of inspiration. These we carry in our hearts to go eat chili together. So thank you all. Thank you, Ellie and Juniper. Thank you, congregation. So we have chili. We have a meal prepared. We've got a fire out back, hot dogs coming. And we are all hands on deck to prepare the space to eat the chili. So let's head out there. We'll set up some tables and chairs, and there will be a way to vote on the chili that most suits your fancy. Let's go eat.